So let's do it.
All right. We are live on YouTube. This is Eric Abbey. I am coming to you from Seth Kniep's channel, and he, as I've said in the past, has graciously allowed me to be here. And I have with me the ninja, Allan Urizar. Allan, say hello.
Hello, everybody. I hope you guys are doing awesome this Saturday, and you guys are ready to learn some and share, some of your experiences and ask questions here. So let's do it, man.
All right. I'm seeing Raul and Anyi and Emo and Edgar. Hello. Welcome. Thanks for joining us. I'm still in my coaching gear. My oldest son had a football game. We were on the football field all morning, which was great because up here in Vermont, it's low 70s, sun is shining. And so we were out there early and we played a morning of football, and that was a lot of fun. So I'm getting to coach. This is my son's first year of football, and I'm getting to coach him, and that's kind of cool. So we did that. So I'm in my Essex Chargers gear, and we're ready to talk arbitrage. So I am excited that you're with us, and I'm hoping more people are going to continue to join us. Alma, I see you. Bobby, hello. Mohammed, hello. Welcome from the UK. I see you guys, and we're going to do arbitrage Q&A. So Allan and I love arbitrage. We sell on Amazon using the arbitrage method, where we're buying a small number of items in markets where we can get them at a cheap price, and then we're selling them on Amazon through Amazon.com at a higher price so that we can make a profit. And we're doing that only with a couple or a few of each product, but we're trying to find a lot of products so that we can go wide and scale our business and make money. Loving it. Thanks for joining us again this week. Bring your questions, guys. This is what we want our time to be, is primarily questions. Allan and I try to come with some thoughts, prepare some ideas for you guys. We believe that it's possible for you, if all you're doing is arbitrage, if you decide to sell on Amazon, we believe that you can go from $0 to $300,000 in less than a year. We think it's very possible for you to think that way. But it takes a specific mindset. It takes the help of a community. It takes drive. We have said time and time again that having a successful business is not easy. And there's nothing about what we're promoting through arbitrage on Amazon that changes that. It's nice to not have to build a brick and mortar store. It's nice to not have to pay rent for a good location. There are certain advantages. I love not having to be open from 9 to 5 and be sitting, in my brick and mortar store trying to sell something. I take my Amazon business and I cram it into all these little corners of my schedule where I can make it work. And I also want to be ministering for my church, and I want to be taking care of my 4 kids and getting ample time with my wife, whom I love dearly. And I want to coach football and do these things that I enjoy. And I can take Amazon, probably 90% of the business I do, maybe even 100%, and I can tuck it into all these spots in my schedule. So I can get up early, work the business. I can duck away during lunch and work the business. I can stay up late and do it. And it's all kind of moving things forward. And we're convinced that doing Amazon through arbitrage is viable for you if you're willing to work hard and put in the energy and put in the effort. And I think the majority of you watching on YouTube are poised and ready, if you're not already seeing success, to do it. I think a lot of you are go-getters. You're on here because you want to find a way to expand your margin, add to your budget so that you can have more freedom to do the things you like to do, or you can adjust with more money so that your convictions are really driving how you're spending your time. Maybe you want to get out of the job you're in and get into something that is just a lot more enjoyable, or it's just a better fit for you. I think you're motivated to do that. So my encouragement is to think with us a little bit how you can go from that 0 to 300,000 in less than a year, because a year from now, you could have significant margin in your life so that you are taking your desires and your dreams and the things that are kind of up here right now, and you're bringing them into your life and actually experiencing that. Allan and I have both been able to experience that, and it didn't happen overnight and it didn't happen easy, but we're thrilled. We're thrilled that happened, and we really think that it can happen for you. So we've kind of got 4 steps that we want to talk about, how you can get to that 300,000. And the first step is very simple. You've got to get started. And so I think there's a lot of people who are tempted to kind of watch YouTube videos and kind of get into it passively, and their mind gets excited. But if you just watch YouTube videos for the next year, you'll have a lot of information in your head and you'll have no margin. You'll have made no money. And so at some point you got to pull the trigger and get started. And what we're suggesting is that our new Amazon Arbitrage Mastery membership is a great way to do that. For a small investment, you can set yourself on a trajectory where you're going to actually take action and move to a place of beginning to grow your business and expand your profits and do the things that you need to make those dreams real. I just don't want you to sit there and dream. It's good to dream, but I don't want you to just sit there and be thinking about what you could do and imagining what it would be like. I want to encourage you to get out there and make it happen. And we've tried to design a membership that would serve you to make that happen. So click the link below, take a look at Amazon Arbitrage Mastery, think about what's preventing you from getting started if you haven't yet, and ask us in the chat how you can get past that. Or maybe you've started and it didn't go well, and now you're nervous. You've pulled back and you're really scared to start again. Well, let's learn from your mistakes and talk to us about that in the chat. I said there's 4 steps. I'm encouraging you to get started. Some of you have gotten started, and maybe you want to think about one of the remaining steps that we're going to discuss. So, Allan, talk about the other 3 things that can take them. And we're saying you can do this in less than a year. That'll take them to the next step. So we've got people who have just started. What's the next step for them? We've got people maybe that have been selling for some time, but they're a little bit stuck. Maybe one of the other points is a way that they could move things forward. Talk to us about those other 3 steps, Allan.
Sure, man. And one of the things that I talked to people before, and the things that I like about arbitrage is that once you understand and you learn how to find good products and high quality products, you can really turn it off or turn it on, as far as your business. And I love that about arbitrage. I don't think you can do that with a lot of businesses, but with arbitrage, just to give you an example, we came out of Christmas last year with very low inventory. We were traveling. We got an opportunity to go to Austin to work with Seth. So, we were coming out from a lot of traveling in 2018. And my first month, January of this year, I sold $1,100. That was it. Less than $2,000 in sales. My inventory was very low. I think I had close to 200 units, and it was very low. The nice thing about arbitrage again is that once you know how to do it, you can really ramp it up if you know how to do it. So the first thing that we focus is building our inventory, and I started working with Seth in Austin in January. Just helping build some stores and launch some private label products. At the same time, we're working with my wife in afternoons, weekends, and we started sending more inventory. But now we're sending a lot better inventory than maybe 2 years or 2.5 years ago. Instead of just sending some inventory that might sell and some inventory that might not sell, we're sending a lot more inventory that is high quality. And you guys know when I talk about high quality, I'm not talking about the quality of the actual product, but high quality means low ranks, high profit, and that kind of products tends to sell a lot more. So we started sending more inventory. The next month we double our sales. The next month we double our sales. By the end of June, we're looking at about $25,000 again. July and August, I've done over $56,000 in sales. So from January to the end of August, we're very close to $300,000 in sales. Now, not 100% of our inventory sales, because we noticed that in our business, about 30% of our inventory sells every 30 days. That means that if I'm selling $50,000 in having $50,000 in sales, I have to have a lot more inventory, because only about third of 30% of that inventory sells. So I have to have more inventory, and the more inventory we have, the more sales we have. But we understand that not everything's gonna sell within 30 days. So number one for me is building my inventory.
And some of you might be in a place where that's where you're at. You've started to sell on Amazon. You've done some arbitrage. Maybe parts of it have not gone well. And maybe parts of it have, but you've just kind of been real careful. And the opportunity for you is to kind of take it to the next step, and that's really build your inventory, which means somehow figuring out what you need to do to press the accelerator. So maybe it's giving a little more time to your Amazon business, giving a little more time to arbitrage, so that you're finding products. Maybe it's overcoming whatever fear kept you back. For some of you, I think it's learning how to analyze a product well. I talk to so many people who start at arbitrage and they just can't sell items, and they're frustrated that they're not selling items. But when I talk to them, what I learn is that they weren't analyzing their products. They were buying stuff that they thought was cool or that they liked, or they kind of had a notion might sell on Amazon, but they weren't really looking at the numbers and they weren't analyzing the products well, which is why we spend so much time in our membership really talking about the data that Amazon gives you so that you can use the numbers to give you confidence that I know when I buy this item and send it to an Amazon fulfillment center, it's going to sell. I mean, the items that I buy, I know with like 90% assurance are going to sell on Amazon within a month or two. Mm-hmm. Now, the process isn't infallible, and I make mistakes, and so I get that. So there are items that I get stuck with, and the market does quirky things that you can't anticipate. But I'm telling you, with really good research and knowing how to analyze a product, you can find really good products that are going to sell. And so for you, it might be just getting your confidence back, and it might be learning what you have to do to analyze products, because member after member within our Amazon Arbitrage Mastery membership are making it work. They're learning what numbers to look for and how to calculate those things, and they're gaining confidence. And when you get the confidence like Allan has, then you can press the accelerator and you can build your inventory, and now you're off to the races. Allan, let's take a couple questions.
Sure.
And then we'll talk a little bit about the other steps that we've been thinking about when it comes to trying to get to that $300,000 mark. And we're talking about $300,000 in sales. So in the garden asked gross or net, we're just talking about having $300,000 in sales. But if you do that, you've got great margin in your life, because if you're finding products that have a good ROI and you're making that many sales, you're going to be making significant profit. Allan, there's a question on here about insurance. And so maybe you can speak a little bit to how you approach insurance when it comes to your Amazon business.
Well, as far as the Amazon business, for the business per se, I don't have the all the insurance. I do have a liability insurance for the business. It's $1 million and $100,000. But the other thing that I have is for my personal and everything else that I own. I have an umbrella insurance. I don't know if you have heard of that. That's a little bit higher. That's about $3 or $4 million that covers in case of I have any issues, personal issues in my house or accidents or anything. But it also includes and covers my business or any business that I declare on my insurance. So I do have my Amazon business, inside that umbrella, and then Amazon, for example, if you do private label, they require a little bit more strict, insurance for the business. But I don't have all of those because maybe 95% of my business is still arbitrage. I do a little bit of private label, but I have focused my attention on the business more in arbitrage. That's the way I have it set up, and it's been working for me so far.
Great. Edgar is asking about leads lists, and Allan, around these parts, you're the leads list man. So why don't you speak to the leads lists that are a part of the Amazon Arbitrage Mastery membership? Tell Edgar what's available if he joins the membership. and then he's interested in getting one subscription, maybe you can direct him to the right place there.
Sure. We started doing generating lead lists about 2.5 years ago, and basically I figured out that that you can hire virtual assistants to find leads for you, and then once you have a list of leads, then you can analyze and make sure everything looks good. And so I started growing that part of the team because we were buying a lot of products. And then with Seth, we decided to offer that as a service to the members of Just One Dime. So right now, if you get into the membership for Arbitrage Mastermind, you get 30 days for free, and then after that is $147 a month. For as long as you want to have access to that. We only offer that to members, so we don't have a public service for everybody, because in the last year, maybe year and a half, it's been starting to get a lot harder to find good products, especially the quality that I like and that I know I want to buy for myself. So we're very strict on the criteria that we use, and it's a lot harder to find those kind of products. So we don't want to have 300 or 400 members. We just want to have all the members from the community and be able to cover the service for them. So the only way, Edgar, to get access to that is if you're part of the Arbitrage Mastery, and again, you get 30 days for free when you log in, when you sign up. We deliver those every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. It's 15 leads every day, so it's 45 leads every week, and usually we try to, I remember a year ago, 10 o'clock in the morning, we were done, and we were sending the email to everybody. Now sometimes it gets up to 8 o'clock in the at night, and we're still trying to make sure that all the leads that we have are good. We get a lot of items that I wouldn't buy, so I don't put it on the lead list. I feel like we have a very high quality lead list, but we can only offer to members because of that reason.
Yeah, and that is a great leads list. I see it, so I can vouch for it. And my honest opinion, this is just me, but I think a member could easily pay for the Amazon Arbitrage Mastery membership just from that 30 days of free leads, because they are great leads. So much of the work is done for you. The responsibility is still on you to look at those leads and to analyze them and make your own decision. But I mean, they're kind of given to you on a silver platter right at the front end of the membership. And it would be easy for you to recoup your investment in the membership with those leads lists just themselves. So I think they're a great part of the membership. And Edgar, I think that would be a great approach to it. So click the link below and check it out. Loving It is asking this question, Allan. Would you buy a toy with a great profit even when the BSR is 23K in video games? And she says that's about 5%.
Well, video games, I only buy 5,000 or less. That's again, I want to sell it fast. I know there's a lot of video games that they sell throughout the year, but usually in Q4, if I focus on getting video games, I'm only buying 5,000 or less, and I know that's a lot harder. So you have to wait for the big special days like Black Friday, and not this past year, but the year before, I bought I think it was over 200 video games in Black Friday, and we saw all of them, but all of them were at least 5,000 or less.
Yeah, so I don't think we would recommend that, though there are lots of people that are willing to go higher under the right circumstances. Certainly when the margin is greater, I'm willing to push the limit on the BSR more. I'm willing to wait more time to sell a product if the margin is really good and I know I'm going to make good money on it. So that's a judgment call that all of you need to decide how to do and what you want your convictions to be. Muhammad Amir, if you have questions, type them in the chat. We want to see them. Kyle, welcome. See you in Toronto. I see DeMarcus in Missouri. Benji, no, it is not difficult to apply as an Amazon seller. If you're in the U.S., you just show them all your documentation and you're up and running. If you're selling from an international location, which we have lots of members who do this, they don't live in the U.S., but they set up a U.S.-based bank account. They get a U.S. Visa account. They buy from .com websites and do online arbitrage, and then they use a prep center to send into an Amazon fulfillment center, and they do all their work through Amazon.com. And really, it's not difficult to apply as an Amazon seller through that process either. So no, it's not hard. It would be very easy for you to get started. And what can be a challenge is that sellers who initially set up their account can sometimes run into getting their account suspended right away. We've encountered a couple people who have done that. But in all those instances, they have gotten their account reinstated within a matter of days. So my take on that is that I think Amazon is seeing new sellers as a potential risk because there's a lot of scammers out there. And what we're telling you to do is to do a legitimate business and to sell on Amazon in legitimate ways. And so anytime one of our members has had a problem with that, all they've had to do is show their receipts and show that what they're doing is legitimate, and Amazon restores them, and it's not a big deal. So there are obstacles, Benji, that you'll run into, but setting up your Amazon seller account is not one of them. Emo, I don't know if I would say you need to do PPC on the listings. That would be a decision you could make, but we do encourage anyone who's doing arbitrage to run a PPC campaign. Now, it looks radically different than your PPC campaign would look if you were promoting a private label product. So we wouldn't set it up the same way, but both Allan and I run PPC, and we find it extremely helpful, and we know how to keep our average cost of sales low so that it doesn't eat away at your profit. And it really enables you to do well and to sell more items. And in the membership, we go into all the details of how we would recommend you set up that PPC campaign. Well, we're going to continue to look at the questions, but Allan and I have talked about 4 steps to $300,000 in less than a year. And we suggested that the first step is you got to get started. If you don't take action, you're never going to achieve margin in your life. Allan talked about building up your inventory. Now, if you've built an inventory and you've kind of done arbitrage enough that you've got an ongoing ability to kind of maintain a decent inventory, what's the third thing, Allan, that you could do to really help move forward?
I know for a lot of people it's going to be very obvious, but for me it was kind of like this year I started thinking about that way, and it's expanding your opportunities. And the reason why I mentioned this is because for the last 2.5 years, I've been focusing on one category and actually one niche, which is shoes and clothing. And I got very good at that niche and finding opportunities. And I was able to grow my inventory to the point where, we were doing pretty good, but that was kind of like a ceiling for us. And we were very comfortable there. The numbers look good. The profit margin is good. But this year, because I wanted to expand and I wanted to, go beyond that mark. And then, after, talking to you and talking to other members that are doing very well, I figure in order to grow my business, I have to expand my opportunities. So I have to start looking at other categories, other niches, and trying to find good niches that I'm still able to find good profit and, and still be able to find a lot of products. So we started doing that, and instead of just focusing on shoes, clothing, most of our business, now we're being expanding to a lot more. I remember when I started my business, I started with groceries, and groceries for me is a very good niche, but the margin, not the margin, but the profit amounts are very low compared to shoes. So for example, if I sell a pair of shoes, I might be able to get $15, maybe $20 in profit, where if I sell something in the grocery category, I'm going to get very good ROI, but I might get maybe $3, $4, $5 in profit. And, I kind of left that on the side because, I like the bigger profit amounts. But now I'm kind of going back, exploring that category again, because I figure if I can get a lot of different categories not only shoes, but groceries, electronics, toys, a lot of different things that I know people have very good success and good margins. I'm able to grow my inventory a lot faster because I'm not just focusing on one niche. So when you're starting up, I always recommend to find one niche and just get good at that. But I think it's also a good idea to be always thinking about expanding to other opportunities and finding other good niches and categories.
That's good. So maybe you're watching this program and you're in a position where that's your next step. You want to figure out how to expand opportunities. And Allan is talking about finding other categories and other niches to make that work. Another approach you could do is you could expand your sources. And so for me, that was helpful. At one point I realized, if I drove for 2 hours, I could get to another urban center that had all manner of retail stores that I could do arbitrage in. And so when I first started doing this, I was working full time, and I would take a day off, and I would take all the seats out of the minivan. And of course, with permission from my wife, I would take the minivan for the day, and I'd get up at like 4 a.m. and I'd drive it was 2.5 hours to that location. And I would have mapped it out using Google Maps, and I would go from this exit to that exit and hit all these retail stores. And it really helped expand my opportunities because I was finding different products. I was finding more of the same products that were selling well. And I would just drive until the minivan was full, and I'd grab a lunch and I'd come home. And then that really helped me expand in a lot of ways. Or, maybe there's stores that you've never tried and you've thought they would never have anything I could do arbitrage, but you're just wanting to expand opportunities. So you start trying new things. So that's what we're suggesting the third step would be to achieving your goals, or to reaching, $300,000 in sales in less than a year, which we think is reasonable. Expand those opportunities. There's a question from MQ on Amazon flips, and Allan, you've done those before. So is an Amazon flip worthwhile currently?
Well, right now, it depends on your account, because if you're a brand new seller and you're going to be competing with Amazon, it's going to be very hard because Amazon doesn't share the buy box in a lot of the listings as much as they used to do it before. Like, maybe 6-8 months ago, you could get into any listing where Amazon was selling, and as long as you had a good price and you were able to compete with them, they will share the buy box. Then they changed the rules, and they if they're gonna be sharing the buy box, they want to see other sellers with good metrics. And if you're a brand new seller, you don't have a lot of metrics, and you don't have a lot of sales history, so it became a lot harder to share the buy box. So just to give an example, before I will sell anything that I was sending that it was an Amazon flip product, I will probably sell it within a few weeks. And then after the last change, it takes me even a few months to get my products sold, and I already have some good sales history. I have good metrics, but it's taking me a lot longer. So a brand new seller, it's gonna take them even longer. So you kind of have to analyze the listings very well to be able to see if Amazon is rotating the buy box with other sellers. And then if they are, you want to see the other sellers and kind of see what are, if they've been selling for a long time, maybe they have 200, 300, 500 feedback on their account, but if they have less than 50 feedback on their account, they're probably still starting up. So you kind of want to analyze the sellers to see if there are seasoned sellers or they're beginners. If they're beginners and Amazon is rotating the buy box, then it's a good item that you can get in if you're a new seller.
Yeah, and Keepa is a great tool to be able to tell how many sellers have been in the past and who has had the buy box at various times. And in the membership, we do a deep dive on Keepa and really talk about how to use everything that it offers to find out those details. Benji asks a couple simple and good questions. Can I sell brand name products? Absolutely. That's really the heartbeat of what we do, because we're finding brand name products that sell well on Amazon and have already created their listings, and those listings are already ranking. In fact, most of the time the brand itself probably hasn't created the listing. Amazon did or somebody else did, but it exists and it has a good rank and good precedent for selling.
Right.
And now we're offering that product using the listing that exists there. Now, Benji, the item has to exactly match the listing. That's what makes what we do legal. We're finding brand name products and selling them on a listing where the match is exactly the same. The trademarks all line up. The brand is accurate. The product is the right product. And then go for it. So when you get into trouble selling on Amazon is when you're doing some sort of counterfeit work. You're selling an item that's not the brand product, but you're pretending that it is the brand product. Now you're breaking the law and you're in trouble. But as long as you have a legitimate product that actually fits the listing, yep, that's what we do. We use those actual listings. And he asked, do we have to sell books first? Absolutely not. You can sell books, and books can be a really good profit maker. But no, you don't have to sell books at all, and you certainly don't need to sell them first.
And books is a great category, by the way. It's just that it's a lot of competition, so you kind of have to learn how to do books, I believe.
Yeah. Edgar asked later in the questions, for the Amazon Arbitrage Mastery, it's a one-time payment. So you pay once, you're a member for a full year. Alex asks this question, Allan. Will you give a blueprint on how to do arbitrage while you are launching a PL product? And parenthetically, guys, there are a lot of people who are doing private label and arbitrage, and their two efforts are dovetailing very nicely. So if you're doing private label already, come check out our arbitrage membership and start doing both. Or if you're doing arbitrage, maybe see it as a stepping stone to eventually doing private label. So that's what Alex is talking about. What would a blueprint potentially look like to do arbitrage while doing private label? And he says, I'm running a brick and mortar business alone, have a toddler and wife at home. Time is a big scarcity. I feel your pain. I have 4 kids. I work a full-time job. So Allan, what would you say about that, doing arbitrage while launching a private label product?
Well, the main thing about doing arbitrage is that you have to spend at the beginning. You have to spend a little bit of time learning, how to find good products, learning what stores you can find good products, and then private label. The difference between private label is that private label you have to learn how to analyze the markets, and that takes a little bit longer. But for example, you can go to Walmart, this afternoon. Go to scan items and find a few items that have good profit and good rank. Bring them home, prep them, ship them to Amazon, and by Thursday or Friday you could be selling those and actually getting some profit. So arbitrage is a lot faster, but it requires a little bit of time to kind of go out to the stores, look for products, and then you can start learning how to do it online. Which it's going to require a little bit of skills as well. The nice thing about arbitrage, even if you have a very busy life, is that you can combine. So, for example, last Saturday you showed us here. You went out doing some arbitrage with your kids. Found some products. They had fun because they get to buy. You buy them some extra stuff for them. So they have fun and they help you do some shopping, and then you come back home and then you prep them and ship them. Mm-hmm. So you can combine that with kids and things like that at the beginning. Once you start scaling your business and you start getting some actual profit, one of the things that a lot of members do is they get all of these profits that they're making with arbitrage, and now they have a lot more money to fund a private label or maybe 2 private label products, and then start getting some sales from private label. So you can actually combine them, but it's going to depend really on, how dedicated are you, how much time you can, put towards the business. And it really, when you're combining too many things, you really have to focus on making everything happen. So, watching TV is not longer an option, mm-hmm. or, just having fun with friends. You have to take that time and put it towards doing arbitrage, doing private label, managing your brick and mortar business, and having time for your family. But it is definitely doable.
Yeah, the nice thing about so much of what we do is you can do it at any time. So the only exception to that is maybe going to retail stores. You can't do that at midnight unless you're going to a 24-hour Walmart. But when it comes to analyzing products or doing online arbitrage or analyzing your market for private label and doing research on the computer, I mean, you can tuck that. All that stuff can go anywhere. If you're prepping a shipment, I mean, I get up and prep shipments in the morning all the time. I brew up some coffee. I got a coffee maker right in the garage, right next to my tables where I do my prep work. And I've got a TV out there, so I DVR my favorite program and get that going, and I just work it. And from 4 a.m. to 7 a.m. can be one of the most productive times of my day. But it's a sacrifice to do that, and I'm deciding to bear that weight myself for the sake of my family and for the sake of making it all work. And Allan's right. You can kind of line everything up, so you're not necessarily carving out a whole afternoon to go do arbitrage, but you need to stop and get milk for the wife, and you want to buy stamps, and you're also going to hit up a couple stores to do arbitrage, and you just kind of incorporate it into your day. That's how I've found to work the best. In the garden says, I tried it, but all the products I check, I was not able to sell because they were gated. And so this person got discouraged. How do you get around this? I don't think you can get around the fact that you're going to be gated. Allan runs into restrictions all the time. I run into restrictions all the time. It's the nature of the business. It's true for all of us. I think how do you get around being discouraged? You don't let it cause you to give up. And so I don't know how long you tried it in the garden, but we see members who have to work for several months before they really kind of get out of the doldrums that can present. And that's not being gated isn't the only discouraging thing. You're going to run into all sorts of issues. You're going to buy a great product that's going to look fantastic, and then you're going to get an IP complaint, and that listing's going to get deactivated for a time. But you can overcome that, just like you can overcome restrictions. And I'm just convinced there are tons of opportunities out there. And so you need to just keep your hand to the plow and keep scanning products in retail stores, keep doing online arbitrage, and finding products that you are unrestricted and able to sell. And all the while, you're applying to get ungated, and eventually you're going to get ungated in more and more brands, more and more categories. But we've seen members who have a mindset of just 1 or 2 months, and then they give up, and it's probably a failure 95% of the time. But we see members who have a long-term vision for, I want to be in a better place a year from now. I want to really make this work for years to come. And those obstacles don't seem as intimidating and overwhelming to those members because they've got a long vision. And it's like, if I have to take 3 steps back now, and it takes a while to get 4 steps back forward, I'm ultimately going to get to where I want to go. And those are the ones that hang in there and find good success. Eagle Eye Reports Video Eye, that's a long tag name, is challenging us, Allan. He says there's too many infringement claims, copyright infringement claims, attorney letters. If you list on brand registered seller listings, expect to be kicked out by Amazon. What do you say to that?
It is true. The one thing that you have to know is how to handle those issues. I was very happy this morning talking to the members in a private webinar that we have about how I've been cleaned for like a week or 2 without any IP complaints. I finish the webinar, I go to my Amazon account and check, and here I have another IP complaint, so now I have to deal with it. But you have to take it as part of the business. People complaining, people returning items, people trying to take advantage of the system and requesting refunds, telling you that they never got the product, and there's a lot of different things. And if you don't have a really business mindset, you're gonna get discouraged because it's really hard to deal with a lot of negative things like that. But if you really think about a business person, there's gonna be returns. You have to account for any kind of negative things. People stealing. On the stores, they take all of that into account in their business plan. They know there's gonna be people doing shoplifting. There's gonna be returns. There's gonna be damage, and if you take everything into account and you know what to do when that problem arise, then everything's a lot easier because okay, I got an IP complaint today. Now I have to deal with it. I have to send letters. I have to do what I have to do. But then in a few days it's gone, and then I go back to normal. It's a way to not being discouraged and not throwing the towel. But you really have to think about this as a business, and there's going to be negative things. You just have to learn and know how to handle these things when they come up.
Good. Yeah, that's super helpful. And I think that's a good perspective. And, you're not going to get kicked out by Amazon. That's just the reality. I mean, people have encountered account suspensions, but it's because they've just neglected this area altogether. So if you get an IP complaint, it does require you taking the time and energy to address it and show Amazon that you're legitimate. I mean, they're concerned about customer satisfaction, as they should be. And so they don't want counterfeiters selling products that they're not supposed to. And they want to protect the brands that are selling on Amazon. And that's all fine. That's legitimate. We shouldn't get frustrated at that effort that Amazon's making. But we're also legitimate. So unless you are also a counterfeiter or a scammer, then your conscience is clear and you don't have to worry about it. It can be frustrating that it takes the time and effort to do it. But once you get past that, because like Allan said, you've kind of built it into your reality, you've managed your expectations, so you just know this is part of the business. Then you provide Amazon with the receipts and the information they need, and 9 times out of 10, those listings get reinstated, your account health gets cleared, and you're fine. And when they don't, Amazon still sees that you've addressed the issue, and they're not going to suspend your account. So you are not going to get kicked out by Amazon. If you get attorney letters, you know what I do with mine? I use them to burn the bonfire because they don't have legitimate comments against me. So I just don't think that's legitimate. Eagle Eye is also saying that Amazon's going to bill you storage fees that make arbitrage unsustainable, and that's not true. Obviously, Amazon's charging you fees for the whole FBA process. It's not just storage fees, and it's not just excess storage fees. In fact, if you have excess storage fees, it's because you're not doing good product research and you've got products that are in your inventory for like 9 to 12 months. Now Amazon is going to charge you additional fees, but that's avoidable. And we know Amazon's going to charge fees for FBA. They're making your business possible. They're allowing you to scale and sell 1,000 items a month. They're packing and shipping and storing all your items for you. I'm happy to pay those fees. I build it into my margin when I buy a product, and that's why it's important to have make sure you're calculating your ROI. So, I would want, this person, Eagle Eye, to know that there is success on Amazon. Amazon's growing. Member after member in our program is finding that's successful. It's not for everybody. So if you don't want to kind of deal with that kind of business, that's fine. But I just want to protect everybody else from the wrong thinking that Amazon's just going to boot you and you're not going to be able to make profit.
And the advice I will give him is stop buying products that don't have any margin, because that's probably why you're getting a lot of issues. And also focus on getting products that have a lot of margin, like what we do, and also items that have very good rank, BSR. Because if I never worry about long-term storage fees, because my products sell within 3 months, maybe 4 months. And if I haven't sold a product within 5 months, I request it back and I sell it somewhere else, eBay, Bonanza, other marketplaces. So I never get a product that is going to stay there for a year and then run the risk of paying long-term storage fees, because all of my products are turning over very fast. And by very fast, I mean within 90 days. So, but if you're buying products that have no profit, of course, if you buy something that Amazon is going to take $10, you pay $10 for the product and you got 25 cents in profit, you're not going to be able to run a business. So you need to be able to get $10 for the product, $10 for Amazon, and $10 for your profits. Otherwise, it's not a business. So you kind of have to, instead of thinking that Amazon doesn't work, just try to learn the proper way and the good way to make the business work. because we're doing great with with our business, and it's not just us that we can do it. So if I can do it, I'm sure you can do it.
Yeah. Loving It asks, if you create a listing, does it affect your account health having it inactive and out of stock for a few weeks until you receive the product from the store? The answer is no. I mean, that's the only way you're going to be able to do it. So you have to create the listing to get the ball rolling. Then you can send it to Amazon FBA. There's going to be inactive time all throughout that process. So if ordering an item from Online Arbitrage and having your listing inactive during that window is part of it too, no, I don't think that's a big deal. Inactive listings do affect your inventory performance index. And so what you want to do is when you sell out all your product from a listing is you want to delete that listing because you do want to try to keep your managed inventory pages as lean as you can with only active items or items that will be active soon. But I wouldn't stress out about the lag time that it takes to get your items to a fulfillment center. Allan, we've talked about 4 steps to get to that 300,000 and less in a year. We said get started, build your inventory, expand your opportunities. Take a minute and comment on what that final thing is. If you have built up inventory and you have expanded to opportunities to the best of your ability, what would be a 4th step that you could think about?
For me, and one thing that I've been implementing this year a lot more is once you get to the point where you're ready to scale and you can scale, the best way to double your business or scale even faster, it's building a team. And for a long time, I've had a team of people looking for products, but that's pretty much all I've been able to get good at and get a lot of experience. But I never had to, I never wanted to expand to people that can, buy products, people that can manage my store and things like that. So this year I've been focusing on building a team, but not just on the sourcing or finding products area, but also, now I have people that are buying products. So instead of, not just me and my wife going out and buying products, we have another person doing it. And instead of buying only let's say 50 units every day, now we can maybe do 75 or even 100 units every day because we have other people doing it. And then we have people doing it online, and then we have people doing it in a different city. So now we have people doing it in Texas, people doing it here. We're doing it here, and then I have people doing it online. What this does is, instead of sending 150 or 100 units every week, which is very good, and you can scale very good, with that amount of inventory, we're sending 3 times more because we have a lot more people working. We're using prep centers to do one part of the business. We're doing a lot of prep and ship, my wife and myself. We're paying other people to do that part. So our business is doubling, and it's going faster because we're working on building a team. And it doesn't necessarily mean that you have to do that at the beginning, but you kind of have to have a mindset that you're gonna start by yourself, working hard, and there's gonna be you're gonna get to a point where in order to scale and go to the next level, you need help. And if you think you can only do it by yourself and you can do it alone, it's going to be very hard to scale because you really need a lot more help, and you really need people to help you, and you need to be willing to teach other people to do what you do in order to scale your business. And that's, I think, a good point that I wanted to mention. That's how we've been doing it this year, and we've been able to expand a lot more and a lot faster.
Good. So for some of you, it might be taking that next step to build your team, which might mean learning about virtual assistants or talking to a friend or something like that. And virtual assistants are great. We have a whole section in our membership. We talk about virtual assistants and how you can take advantage of those, and it can be pretty economical for you to do. So some of you might want to be considering that. Martin's Mustangs asks, can you provide a BSR limit for each category for arbitrage? We recommend staying within 2% of that for each category. And if you want to be conservative, to stay within 1%. So that requires you figuring out how many items Amazon has offered in each category, because obviously the toys and games category is going to be different than like pet supplies. But that's our recommendation, is less than 2% when it comes to a BSR. Murney says, lots of stuff I want to sell already saturated at Amazon. Every niche has been covered. What's your advice, Allan, for somebody who's feeling that that's the case?
Well, I think we need to understand what arbitrage is, and arbitrage is reselling products. So if I want to resell products, I want to find products that are selling on Amazon and they're selling very well. I don't want to recreate or compete with them. What I want to do is I want to go to Walmart, find this product that is selling on Amazon for $30, and see if I can find it here for $7 or $8, and then buy this at clearance, and then send my product to that same listing and be able to sell it on Amazon. So we're not really, I like that there's a lot of products on Amazon that are selling very well. There's full categories of products that are selling very well, because that means I might be able to find these same products on other stores at a discount price and then sell it. So I believe that your mindset is more in a mindset of private label and trying to analyze niches that way. But if you want to do arbitrage, you want to find the best products, the biggest brands that are selling on Amazon. See if you can find them on the stores. If you're able to sell them and you're not restricted to sell them, then buy them and sell them on Amazon. That's what we do. We resell products, and we try to find the best products in other stores, and you sell them on Amazon.
Yeah. So when you're doing arbitrage, you're being driven by a principled approach that's taking your cues from what already is selling on Amazon, what has set precedent, which is why BSR is so important. So you want to have a BSR driven approach. That's what gives you confidence that you're going to make money. Karen says,
next, can we answer a couple of questions from Crowdcast? So
yeah.
A few questions there.
Sure. Let me do this one, and then I'll turn it over to you there. I've run into, let's say I bought some products, toys at our local Walmart to resell. Now I'm asking for my approval. How can I get the children's product certificate they're asking for? I'm not exactly sure what she's speaking of when it comes to a children's product certificate. Sometimes they did this with fidget spinners a year and a half ago. They required like safety certificates, and you've got to go outside of Amazon to find somebody that'll do that to give you the certification you need. And then you give that certificate to Amazon and they'll approve you. If you're looking for just brand approval or category approval, we go into length in our membership as to how you can apply for that. But it's really pretty simple. You find where the restriction is when you're trying to sell it, and you click the button that says apply, and sometimes it'll give you automatic approval. Sometimes it'll ask you for paperwork. Sorry, Karen, I don't know how else to answer that question, unless you understand what she's saying, Allan. Otherwise, turn to the Crowdcast questions.
Yeah. Brian says, what tools are you using to find products? Can you speak of what tools are you using, Eric?
Yeah, I use very simple tools. The primary one I use is the Amazon Seller app that's free. And that really gives you everything you need to do successful arbitrage in a retail store. So I don't use anything else when I'm doing RA and I'm in stores. When I'm doing online arbitrage, I really enjoy RevSeller because it takes all the information I need, which you can probably find without RevSeller, but it puts it in one spot and through a Chrome extension embeds it right in your listing. It makes doing online arbitrage way easier and way faster, and it has an FBA calculator. That's probably the best advantage to RevSeller, I think, because when you're using your Amazon Seller app, what's nice is it tells you what the FBA fees will be and tells you then what your profit would be based on the lowest buy box price for that item. So I can look right at my phone and know this is what my profit's going to look like. This is what I have to pay for the product on the shelf, and then I know what my ROI is right off the bat. RevSeller does the same sort of thing for me when I'm doing online arbitrage. I can actually see what the FBA fees are, and I can type in what the product is being sold for on whatever website I'm at, and I know what my profit's going to be, and it calculates the ROI and all that for me. So So I use the Amazon Seller app. I use RevSeller for online arbitrage, and I use Keepa, which is really helpful to get price history and BSR history on a product. And I think it's most advantageous to use Keepa to avoid prices that are just high for a season. They're, what's the word I'm looking for? They're higher than they should be. They're inflated. Yeah, it helps you identify inflated prices. So that's all I use. RevSeller's, what is it, $99 a year? Keepa's like $15 a month. They're really not that expensive, but they really help a ton.
Yeah. And the only extra I use for doing retail arbitrage is Spotify, which is free when you have a membership with Inventory Lab. And I do have a membership with the Inventory Lab, so I use the Spotify app, but it's very similar to the Amazon Seller app, and it gives you a lot of information. And then Keepa and RevSeller if you're on the computer.
Yeah, Lindsay asks about tactical arbitrage. Says a lot of gurus are recommending it. I don't think it's bad to use. I think it can be helpful. I personally don't really use it. I think you can do a ton of successful online arbitrage without it. It's expensive, so you have to justify the $100 a month you're paying for it. At least you can pay more, but that's the lowest. I think it's $99 a month. You have to justify that by finding opportunities, and I find it's a huge hassle to weed through all the mismatches. So I've used it before, and I've had success with it before, but I don't necessarily recommend it. I don't think you need it at all.
Ashley says, when you should get insurance, before you started selling or when you start having a certain amount of income? I think I got it when after 6 months of selling. I created my business after 3 months, and I switched from my individual account to a business entity. And then after that, I learned that you needed insurance, so we just ordered insurance, and we've been paying that insurance for the last 2 years. The one that we got a long time ago is not that expensive. I think it's about $100 a month for us because we have all kinds of insurance on that same company, so we got a lot of discounts. We've never had to use it. We've never had any complaints or anybody trying to sue us or anything. So it is just peace of mind for us, and it's good to have it there. We just have it as part of the business. But I would say, start selling. Don't worry about insurance, and then at one point you're gonna want to start protecting your business, and it's a good, something you want to have in your business for any issues.
Yeah, there's a couple questions here I'm seeing about holiday selling requirements, and so I'm looking at an email that Amazon sent, and it says these are the performance criteria based on seller fulfilled orders. Your first sale on Amazon must be prior to September 1st, but does not need to be specific to toys and games. And you must have processed and shipped at least 25 seller fulfilled orders from August 15th to October 14th. But that doesn't pertain to FBA. Are there performance restrictions, Allan, on selling in the toys and games category in the holidays for FBA?
I think are the same for seller fulfillment. It's one, you have to have one sale before September 1st, 30 sales. And then there's other metrics that only apply for FBM. But if you don't have those two main ones, you're not gonna be allowed to send products. Or actually, if you send products, they're not gonna be processed until I think at the end of December. But that's been going on for years now, and it's kind of expected to have some kind of restrictions for new sellers, and usually it's just going to be for that category. So you cannot sell toys, but everything else you're able to sell on Q4, and you're going to have a lot of opportunities on different categories, not just sales. I sell a lot. Most of the December is the biggest month for me selling shoes. So, and shoes is not even related with Christmas, but people just buy shoes in December. And you're going to have a lot of opportunities, even if you miss the toy category for this quarter.
Yeah, people just spend money in the fourth quarter, it seems. So they're like buying Christmas presents for other people, and they buy themselves some shoes while they're doing it. I don't know. Gosh, there are so many questions here. Part of me would like to go for another half an hour, but we just can't do it. So if we didn't get to your question, join us next Saturday at noon Central Standard Time and get your question right in the front of the Q&A, and we'll answer it immediately. Check out the link below. Our membership is running well, and it's got the answers to all your questions, and it's got a deep dive on a lot of subjects, and we are finding member after member having good success doing arbitrage. So click the link below, check it out. It's well worth the initial investment. You get those free leads lists that Allan talked about. You can sign up for those, and you get step-by-step course material on how to do everything from setting up your Amazon Seller Central account to analyzing products to making a long-term business succeed. We have video after video of bonus material, deep dives into different tools, an approach to virtual assistants, and all manner of other things. We do weekly ninja strategies, which are updates to try to stay current with the times. There's a community that you can be a part of. There's coaches that are available. You get a one-on-one lead off with a coach. You get weekly live coaching that you can ask your questions like this, but way deeper. So I want to offer it to you guys. Now's the chance to get on board, make that margin possible, and click the link to check it out. Again, I apologize if we didn't get to your questions. Join us next Saturday at noon. Allan, thank you again, sir.
Thank you, guys, and I hope you guys start your business and start building that inventory. That's going to be very important and a good start of your business on Amazon.
All right, guys, enjoy the rest of your weekend, and we will see you next week. Happy arbitraging and take care. Bye.
All right, take care.